What's going on, my people? Welcome back to another episode of the Stop the Count podcast. In this episode, I will be talking about this past weekend's fights and the Liga MX final. First, getting into some news. Diego Pacheco will be fighting in Monterrey and signing a new multi-fight deal with Matchroom. Now, for some UFC news, it's being said that Sharaputin Magomedov will make his UFC debut against Derek Brunson in Abu Dhabi. Who is Sharaputin, you may ask? He's what some people say the best Dagestani prospect since Habib. Now for the Matchroom card, the drama started on Thursday when rumors started to go around that Mauriciolara was overweight by a dangerous amount. And come Friday, Eddie Hearn confirmed it. The BBC ruled Lara was unable to make anything less than 128.5 pounds, meaning he would have to relinquish his belt on the scales before even being able to defend the title once. Lara weighed in at 129.8 pounds, while Wood came in at 125.9, meaning Wood will still be eligible to win the belt. The fight was still able to continue now, getting into some fights that happened prior to that. Campbellhatton was able to take his third win of the year, this one by knockout. Now, talking a little bit about the Jack-Catterall fight, it was a really good show of counterboxing from Jack, really dominating and dropping his opponent a couple times. He won by decision. Now, for the main event, Mauriciolara versus leighwood 2. I really liked Lee's walkout coming out to Sweet Caroline and all the fans singing prior to the walkout. I don't know about you guys, but that song will always remind me of Darren Till's walkout in Liverpool. In the second round, Lara was dropped by a great uppercut from leighwood. I'm not sure what Lara was doing, what was going on, what was he thinking going into the fight, but he wasn't really working the body. He was looking for that one big shot. He was clipping Wood at times, but it takes more than one shot to knock out a bigger fighter. Now, Lee was doing a good job keeping his distance and keeping his right hand up, really using his jab to his advantage as Lara was struggling to land his favorite shot, that left hook. Now, I had the fight closer than most, as on my scorecard, I had Lee up 115 to 112. Now, as some people may ask, how did you have the fight that close? I feel as if the rounds were close, which some rounds were really, really close. But when those left hands were landing on wood, I feel as if those did win those close rounds for Lara, in my opinion. Now, I'm not sure what Lara had to agree to for the fight to happen, but I'm pretty sure it was some sort of rehydration clause. This hasn't been made official, but I'm almost 95% sure there was a clause, and there was also some sort of financial agreement prior. Now, how much this affected Lara, if true, is something we will never know, but this shouldn't take anything away from leighwood, who was the better fighter on the night. I don't believe a Venado fight will happen, but for who I'd like to see Lee fight next is probably someone like Josh Warrington, or maybe even a Ray Ford fight, which the Ray Ford fight may still be a couple years away, but a prospect can only stay a prospect for so long. Now for the top rank card. I'll start off by talking about pierceoleary. He went off getting a first round knockout in almost 1.5 minutes. Really a great way to put his name out there, a brutal stoppage. For the Nick Ball fight, he was in a really tough fight in my opinion with Lamati. It was a very good showcase of skill from Ball, but he was at times making it a very, very dirty fight, hitting his opponent after the ref breaks him up multiple times and not getting a point taken away. There were times where it looked as if Ball would get him out of there, and he was able to do it in the 12th round as Lamati's corner threw in the towel. The main event was delayed as Lamati was really hurt and had to have serious medical attention, and he was taken to the hospital. From what I've been hearing, he is going to be okay. He's in stable condition. Now for the main event, Luis Alberto El Venadolopez versus mickconlan. Now this fight was action-packed with both fighters throwing everything at each other from the start. It really wasn't the fight I expected from Conlan, which is, I think, a pace and style which did not benefit Conlan at all. Mick came out strong and was fighting Venado on the inside, taking hard shots, and yes, he was at times giving it back, and I believe he even won the second round, but in the third round is when it all changed. Mick looked as if he was hurt and didn't get stopped or dropped, but looked out of it. The stoppage came in the fifth round by a brutal venado uppercut that was timed and placed perfectly. Mick really just walked right into it. Now, Mick's corner threw the towel in, but I don't think he would have made it up in time. Mick would start each round off really well, but would always drain himself, leading to Venado picking up the pace later when Mick would tire out. I really feel the awkwardness in Venado's style was the hardest part for Mick to handle, as Venado had his hands at his waist, throwing whatever the fuck he wanted. It was crazy. Now, the height, probably as well, as I believe Venado was 4 inches shorter than Mick, but Venado also looked like the way bigger fighter in there. I believe Venado will be fighting the winner of Robesi Ramirez and Shitotsi Shimizu. As for Mick, I just want to say the first Olympic fighter I ever decided to follow after their amateur career was him. And if this is the end of his career, I just want to say it was a beautiful career with some ups and some downs, but he always was one of my favorite fighters. Now, there were some other boxing cards like Lawrence Okolie versus Chris Billiam Smith. Now, I didn't watch the fight as I'm not a big fan of the heavier weight classes, but I do believe Chris won. Next was the Golden Boy card headlined by Alexis Rocha. This is another card I did not watch live, but it was really dominated by the Golden Boy fighters. As it should be, it's a Golden Boy card, but the asterisk should be around Scrappy Ramirez's fight against Fernando Diaz. I did watch this fight after, and I feel there's no way Scrappy should have got the win. Diaz was the one landing the better shots, dictating the pace, and controlling pretty much the whole fight. Scrappy was given a narrow split decision win, and for a fighter who has said multiple times that no champion wants to fight him out of fear of him, now this is bullshit. They don't fight him because of Golden Boy and all the politics that comes with them. He beats no real champion in his division. Now, he's called out Josh Franco before, and I believe Scrappy should turn the other way. Josh would put on a boxing masterclass on Scrappy. It would be a great fight for Josh. Now, another fight that happened was Oscar Colazo was able to win the WBO minimum weight belt by defeating champion Melvin Jerusalem by stoppage in the 7th round, becoming the fastest Puerto Rican in only 7 pro fights to become world champion. Upcoming lightweight fighter Oscar Duarte was also able to win by knockout in the 7th round, and in the main event, Alexis Rocha was able to get Anthony Smith out in 5 rounds. Now, for the Liga MX Finals, it started off great for Chivas. They started off attacking well, and at the 10-minute mark, the goal came with an amazing goal scored by Piojoalvarado, a truly difficult goal due to the angle, but Piojo was able to slot it in, giving Chivas the lead. Now, the 1-goal lead didn't last for long, as at about the 20th minute, a corner kick came and a horrible defensive alignment and a beautiful screen from Pollo Briseño leaves Pochoguzman open by himself in the middle, and he's able to slot the ball away after a beautiful cross from Piojoalvarado, putting Chivas up by 2. Now from there, Tigres really started to turn it up, attacking well, and Chivas defended themselves perfectly. Now Tigres did have chances, and one clear chance from Gignac to put in a goal, but he wasn't able to. The refereeing was 100 times better than last game. Clear fouls on both teams were getting called, and the yellow cards given were earned by the players. Tigres ended the half up in possession, time, and passes, but weren't able to put their chances away. Now for Chivas, the whole team played well. There really wasn't a player that didn't show up from the Chivas side in the first half. As the second half started, Chivas went on the defensive, leading Tigres to really pressure them and take control of the game, and at about the 64th minute, a penalty kick was called after a handball from Pollo Briseño. A horrible mistake after an amazing Liga he's been having. Gignac was able to put it away, making the game 2-1. Now the pressure came stronger than ever from Tigres, and after a couple missed chances, their goal came after a beautiful cross from Javier Aquino, leading to Sebastian Cordova putting it away. Really due to a lack of concentration and communication between Alan Mozo and Huacho Jimenez. That really left Sebastian wide open, unmarked. Now that's when Chivas finally started to play, and the game began to get closer. As the regular time ended, the game ended in a 2-2 draw, meaning there was extra time. The first half of extra time was eventless. The start of the second half is where Tigres were able to score a goal. It was at the 110th minute. Their captain, Guido Pizarro, with a deflection from Lalo Torres, gives Tigres the lead. They were up 3-2 at this point. Really, nothing happened from this point on besides some meaningless red cards. The worst thing that could have happened happened. Tigres came back from a 2-0 lead, giving them their 8th campeonato. Now, you could put all the blame on Pauno for the way the team came out the second half, but you have to give the credit to Tigres. They were able to impose themselves and continue with the non-stop attack. The substitutions from Pauno, they did not function at all. Some have even compared it to Tano Ortiz's game plan heading into the second half of their semifinal game. And yes, it's very similar, but the blame could also be on the players. They were really careless with the ball in the second half. When they were attacking, they'd lose it and not look to stop the counter or not look to get right back on the defensive. For me, the blame goes to nobody. The credit goes all to Tigres. A final is not given to you. You take it, and that's what Tigres did. I just want to say to Club Deportivo Guadalajara, gracias. Gracias por darme esa ilusión que un día se me fue. Ver a este equipo en una final y jugando bien era lo mejor que pudiera haber pasado. In about a week or two, I'll make a video about which players I would like to see come to Chivas and Milan. Also, who I would like to see sold. And I will also talk about some canteranos I would like to see brought up by Pauno from the subs and Tapatio, which Tapatio has been crowned champions of the Expansión Clausura and is up 3-1 against Atlante heading into the second leg for the Campeón de Campeones. And also, Milan were able to pull off a 1-0 win against Juventus this past weekend as well, after a header from Olivier Giroud put them up, clinching Champions League for Milan. Thank you guys for staying until the end. Don't forget to like and comment. Also, subscribe and follow me on Twitter at StopTheCount10. See you later on this week as we talk about the upcoming fights. See you then.